tie today?
I said,
He doesn't have a tie on today.
No.
I thought you were gonna set a new trend for everybody.
Oh, well, I can't.
Welcome everybody to the Village of Webberville council meeting. Today is January 14th, 2025. Call to order, please. Roll call.
The board is absent, she will be late. Stanfield?
here,
Walter?
here.
Schulte?
Here. We have a quorum. Everybody please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, the approval of the agenda. We do have one item to add as a late addition to the packet. I recommend that we approve the agenda as presented with the addition of item number 9, security cameras. Somebody would like to move that
So
recommendation.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
The board is absent. Stanfield?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes. Okay. At 6:02, we'll now open up for public comment. So if anybody has anything they'd like to discuss or have questions about, besides what's on the agenda this evening, now's the time.
I'll just make a comment. I mean,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
always appreciate the public services in this little village. I've lived many places, and snow, they come and get rid of it before anybody else, and you do a wonderful job, so.
Well,
I'm sure you get enough negative things going on.
Thanks.
well, I thank Ryan and all his crew for a lot of that hard work.
That being said, I know that on the water bill, there was a note on there about parking on the roadsides during snow.
Yep.
And there was multiple vehicles in the village left for 4 days parked in the snow, so these guys couldn't do their job. If we have rules or ordinances, how do we get these enforced? I mean, I can see it, okay, it was left overnight for whatever reason. But for them to be left for days and everybody has to maneuver around them and do whatever they are, I think that's a little uncalled for.
Yep, so this is a topic that has come up recently. Historically, there hasn't been a ton of parking problems, but this has come up, and the council, even prior to my involvement, did a great job of putting out a structure with all those rules, and at this point, we do not have an enforcement mechanism beyond our code enforcement officer who's here once a week. So that's something that I think this council needs to address in the near future of looking at our ordinances, making sure that they're appropriate and up to date, and also figuring out the enforcement aspect of it. So your comments I heard, definitely are aware.
Okay.
So, anything else for public comment? If not, we'll close public comment at 6:04. Consent agenda. Everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from the December 10th meeting, accounts payable, the investment report, revenue and expenditure report, and the balance sheet. Are there any questions on those?
I just had a question about the mirror in truck 7.
Yeah, we had an incident over in the Black Oak subdivision, portable basketball hoop. The hoop is sticking out in the road. And the hoop was the exact same height as the mirror. So the driver, trying to see that tiny little basketball hoop, thought we missed it. It hit just the mirror, cracked the glass. So
Makes sense.
didn't damage anything else. So we ended up, because there's a couple of those around town, so we ended up going out, pushing them back into the right of way so they're not hanging over the curb line. So,
No damage to the basketball hoop?
nope.
Good.
Nope. just cracked the glass, so I replaced it and, you know, it is what it is, so, yeah.
Any other questions on the items for the consent agenda? Not, is there a motion to approve it?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second, roll call?
Schoenberg. Yes. Stanfield.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes. Okay. On to our reports. First up is the police report, and I do not believe there's an officer here tonight to read that out, so I will let the council read that at their leisure if they haven't done so already. So next up would be the DPW report, Mr. Ryan Jones.
Month of December is generally kind of a slow month, just because we have so much time off with the holidays and everything. Luckily, we didn't have any major snow events. We did do some salting, but no major plowing or anything like that. So I've had the guys working on the organization and inventory of the DPW facility. We're just trying to get a better grasp of what we actually have on hand, so when it comes time to make purchases, replace things, etc., we know what we have. Just doing some ongoing equipment maintenance, oil changes, repairs from summertime equipment. Trying to, do inside projects right now because it's not the time of year to be doing outdoor projects. Been doing some training opportunities, looking around for free or low-cost opportunities for the guys. We are going to Lansing in February to Operators Day. That'll just be a day event. So we're just kind of doing some stuff there. We've been starting the planning of our 2025 projects. I know we put some stuff in our budget for next year on our water system. So we're just starting to plan where we're gonna go and get the most bang for our buck. Other than that was about it for December.
Will all of you attend that Operators Day?
Mitchell, Cody, and myself will be.
Okay.
Yep.
So will Max?
Max will be at the facility by
So
himself.
he'll be
Yeah,
here.
I'll assign him with work, and he'll be fine, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that was about it for December.
Any questions for Ryan? If not, we'll move on to the clerk treasurer report. Jessica?
So I did contact, Ian County Emergency Management Officer. He tried to get me in contact with the appropriate person to find out when we were getting our check. Unfortunately, I still haven't heard anything. I'm gonna reach out again soon though, just kind of light a fire. Received the certificate for the redevelopment ready community class that was finished. Later in the new business, there will be an approval for to update our master plan, which is needed to become a redevelopment ready community. Waiting to find out what the next steps will be from the MEDC once that gets finished. We began changing over some files and updating binders for the new year. We had our MML loss control visit on December 11th. He mentioned that we are, that our experience modification factor is below the 1.0 or less requirement, which is how it attempts to predict future claim costs, and it affects our premiums, which is a very good thing for us. He did have some suggestions to help mitigate our risks, such as training for harassment, sidewalk programs, and checking buildings to see if they were safe from lightning. Say if something happened over on the west side of the state, lightning strike with the whole building on fire. And then Alana and I attended the virtual Empowering Wellbeing of Women in Local Government webinar on the 13th. They discussed the importance of lowering our stress in our lives and positions and how it impacts our health, work, and life.
Any questions for Jessica? Thank you very much. We'll move on to the WDDA report. I'll let Josh speak on that.
So we do have the contractor for HVAC for the laundromat building is getting, they're gonna start Thursday on putting heat in that building. And I have a contractor coming because we have to take the drop ceiling out for them to do their work. So they're gonna be there handling that. Electrical company's gonna come and look at everything to make sure it's safe. Part of the HVAC company ask is to replace every line of gas pipe in that building. I told them I didn't want anything spliced, didn't want anything joined, it's all brand new. So they're doing that. And then, the Ford building, still trying to find contractors for that to get started. Actually for both buildings, I have a really hard time finding people. I talked to Cousins Glass on Ryan's recommendation. They said, yep, we'll send can we come anytime? I said, yep, and they're like, okay, next week, yep, that was last week. And never got a call, never showed up, nothing. So, which is an ongoing thing with the glass companies, so I don't really understand what that is. I don't know if they show up to the building and are like, that's too big of a project for us, we're not gonna do it, and walk away or something, I don't know. I'm gonna follow up again with them, but that's kinda, every glass company has pretty much done that. A couple of them have been up front and saying it's just too big for us to accomplish. But yeah, that's where we said, we did have another Lana cue me in on this. She happened to drive by and see one of the windows on the Ford building was open and didn't have glass, and someone had pushed in the sash, and then they also unlocked a bunch of the doors as well. So another break-in of the Ford building. So
No damages or theft?
no damage, no nothing. I honestly think I think it's the same two kids that keep doing it, because I've caught them once before, and before they did the same thing, they went around to all the windows. I mean, they do it in the middle of the day, which is pretty amazing. But then I caught them at the back door trying to figure out the code to the back door. So, we are, actually gonna work on the camera thing. We obviously did the cameras, got approval quite a while ago for the downtown, cameras, and talked to Ryan, and, we just had to rework how we can run those, but I think the Ford building would probably be a good position, because it would be right on that end of town. So, other than that, so just trying to plug away on getting that stuff done. I see Tech Drive was all done, and that I've been hearing lots of good compliments that people can keep their fillings in when they go down through there. So obviously it's not, it's nice and fixed and people are happy. I do see a lot of truck traffic that is going on that road now, but that's about it for my report, unless people have questions.
All right, seeing none, thank you, Josh. Building and zoning report, McKenna Associates is not here this evening, they did provide a report, so I will let council read that report at their leisure, if they have not already done so. So on to the NISA report, Sandra.
So we had our meeting on Thursday, and we had a really productive year. Total number of responses was 1,728, and that includes medic, fire, everything. So the number was up from the year before. We kind of talked about the renegotiating of the agreement that we have with the DDA. So I guess in the stipulation we had, we just need to make sure that that gets signed before March.
Yeah, I think it's April was the April 1st or something, I think. But I think we re-upped it for 2 years. I think we were a year ahead. So we'll look at the minutes just to verify that. If not, we meet on Monday, and I'm sure we'll get it approved. But I'm almost sure that we did over a year in advance, because we were trying to stay proactive.
We did 2 years.
Yeah,
But
trying to stay proactive on it.
they kind of just asked about it, so I said, well, I'll make sure to mention it.
Yeah.
And then both the two stations now have the fiber installed, and that means our internet's awesome. They also have just undertaken a huge project with the internet being fiber. They bought a whole bunch of internet-ready phones, so if there is ever a situation like the tornado or something, then that station can be used as a emergency center. So anybody can use it. And,
Just at
That's,
61?
yes,
Okay,
because they have the bigger space,
right.
so it will be available. And then, regular training is still going on. They are still doing, the fire school Mondays and Wednesdays, and I think that's about it. We participated in, I wanna say the Santa Parade in Lansing. It was all EMTs and firefighters, and they lined up on both sides of Michigan Avenue by the hospital. And we stood outside and waved at the cancer patients inside the building. So, that's pretty cool, but pretty fun. So, that's it for me.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're setting up an emergency thing with internet. Have you got a ham operator out also? Because typically in an emergency, the internet will go down too.
I think it is set up so that they will actually have internet. They do have, backup generators.
Yeah, but it's a fiber optic line, so depending on how they run it, it could go out. That's the only thing.
I'm pretty sure that they've made sure that however they set it up, that it would be available.
Might also check and see whether they want to add a ham station, because ham radio is always there as long as you've got power.
And somebody who still knows how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people that do, so if you need some training, I can probably figure that out, but
Right.
it's just, you know, it's just one of those things. Our church does that. We have ham operator as well as stuff, so that if something happens, we have a way to communicate.
Right.
It's a good idea, it's a good suggestion.
I will mention that.
Any other questions for Sandra? Seeing none, thank you, Sandra. On to the attorney report. Mr. Gould.
I just really have two items that I need to go over real quick. First matter is, at the last meeting, there was some talk about doing a ride-along waiver form. Mr. Jones, I think you brought this up maybe. So I put together what I think is at least a starting point. I'd like to have Mr. Jones take a look at it, we can modify it, but, at least that will give us a starting point, to let people know what's expected, of them and what they'll be exposed to. It's pretty broad language, so, and it may be a bit dramatic for what is needed, but, I'm sure Mr. Jones, if you give it a few minutes, take a look at it, chop it up, send it back my way, we can hammer it out, so. The next item is a memorandum regarding, the December 10th, council meeting. At that meeting, there was an allegation raised by a council member that the clerk treasurer had inappropriately taken matters into her own hands, unilaterally decided to purchase business cards contrary to a previous vote by this council. I looked into the matter. I could not find any wrongdoing by clerk treasurer. In fact, the council member that raised these concerns was hand-delivered a letter requesting the actual date and time of which said vote was taken. To date, there has been no report of said vote or action by this council. I looked back through the minutes myself. I could not find any action that spoke of business cards or logos or emblems which would warrant any kind of disciplinary action. So with that being said, to me, unless there's evidence brought forth to the contrary, there's nothing actionable in regard to this and the clerk treasurer. The second piece that needs to be brought up is that, you know, when we talk about HR issues, as a council in these meetings, we are exposed to the Open Meetings Act. And there's a whole segment regarding open meetings that if there's gonna be allegations, charges, disciplinary, evaluation, whatever it is, whatever that employee is or who that employee is, has a right to demand a closed session hearing. And effectively, what happened in the last meeting, the clerk treasurer was never even afforded the option of a closed session to discuss those matters. And that's problematic. I hope this is just a learning experience, but if there is HR concerns going into the future, the way we have the structure here at the village is that communication has to go to the president for the president to set a course of action to investigate and to figure this thing out. We cannot have it just open to the public because it's a disservice to somebody that has, by state law, the right to close the session and not have the public listen to whatever allegations are being made. So with that being said, it's my position, unless there's evidence to the contrary brought forth by anyone else, there's nothing that warrants any kind of written reprimand of the clerk treasurer. So that's all I have for the council for tonight.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions for our attorney? Seeing none?
I'm gonna give you the number of the person I contacted at MML, and where we discussed the emblem, that it takes a full council vote to get rid of the emblem. Okay?
That's
You
fine.
and I discussed that, so I'll provide you with that.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Okay, on to our engineer report, Mr. Bruce Wallace.
I don't have any specific report to give tonight, but there's a couple of things that I've been thinking about. One of them is, at a previous meeting, it might have been at the DDA meeting, we sort of talked about relooking at some estimates that I did for Gramer Road, and maybe considering that, as a 2025 project. And then the other thing I've been looking at is, you know, as we've already addressed the water rates, there really wasn't any consideration in that rate study for capital improvement, especially as it relates to replacement of older water mains and so forth. So I've just begun to take a look at, you know, review the asset management plan for the water system and look at some statistics and information and estimates to try and get to the impact to the water rates if, for instance, the village decided to take a loan to begin some of that work. And so I didn't know if you wanted to talk about either one of those things tonight, or both of them sort of require a little bit more study, I think.
Yeah, no, I did see your email, and, you know, with Gramer Road, I think that warrants a discussion with Caitlin, and looking at the 2025 budget, what capital there is available. Also may seem appropriate to poll or discuss with residents who that would most affect, i.e. people who live on Grebe and Elm Road there, as to what the best course of action is and what we can afford. And then on the water aspect of it, I haven't had a chance to speak with Ryan, but I think that also probably warrants some further discussion on, you know, what needs attention.
Right, yeah, it's a matter of priorities.
Yep, so I didn't put it on the agenda, this evening, but.
Okay. We did talk about a little bit in that last rate study we did. So I know Joe and we were gonna kind of revisit some things later this year in regards to that as well, so.
Okay.
Yeah, good point, I'll bring that up. Thank you.
Any questions for Bruce? Seeing none, so last report. Advocate reports. Anybody have anything?
So I would like to talk again about the cameras.
Okay, that is it different than the number 9 agenda that we added?
No, but I mean, I can wait until then if you'd like me to.
Your pick.
I can do it now,
Okay,
if you don't mind.
go for it. It's your thing.
So, as Josh had brought up, I was driving by and I literally saw I check all the windows as I go through town. It's just what I do. And I seen one of the windows and my first thought was, now I know Josh didn't clean it that well. No offense, Josh. So I turned around and I went and parked and I looked and I was like, no, sure enough. So I had gone in and I let him know. Well, and then we did have the incident where it was downstairs with, Tammy, but Josh, you had heard about it, and there was just an incident with someone from the public had come in. I just feel that with the cameras, if they're placed correctly, and I know that you would have to work with Ryan, that, for one, we can find out who's doing this. And we can send a message that we're not gonna tolerate this, plus we are keeping our village safe. We've got the monument, and, you know, it's just really important that we're doing this. I know some people are like, well, I don't wanna be seen, I don't wanna be heard. That's what we're not trying to do. We're just trying to protect our village. And Josh, those are, questions you can answer.
Yeah, and that's what I tell everyone, anytime we've ever had to pull film for any of the clients that we actually monitor their stuff, it's almost always a liability issue, or can be a he said, she said thing, and then it squashes it instantly and it's over. Liability is always a good thing, and obviously there's also something to be said about the security aspect of, if people know there's cameras in the area, they usually, if they're gonna do something bad, they stay away from that area. So I mean, it's sometimes the need of it, once they're up, very rarely do you actually look any film up or even have to access it. But it's also good to have too, that if someone does have an issue that happens, like they fall down or something, it's also nice to save that film for insurance purposes, but also in case there's an issue down the road that needs to be addressed. So, or you just end up having something happen where, I mean, I know over the summer, there was some very interesting pictures, spray painted on a bunch of stuff around town. So, and then even, for instance, the monument obviously had the glass broken. So just having a little bit extra eyes never necessarily hurt, and honestly, it's not like there's gonna be anyone that's gonna be sitting on those cameras and watching anything. It's gonna be just for, hey, there's an incident, they pull the film for it, that's it.
Cameras, how much area are you gonna cover? Are you just talking about downtown?
Yeah, there's already approval for 2 cameras to be placed downtown that are more industrial, made for that. The cameras that we propose is mainly for on this building, and then we're gonna also run over to the gazebo area.
Okay. I'm just saying, cause there isn't gonna be a lot of citizens involved in that, depending on how the cameras are.
Yeah, it's gonna be basically downtown.
It's gonna,
downtown this building.
Yeah, if they're downtown, it's downtown. I mean, it's not like you're peering on a residence or something like that. So,
Right, absolutely not,
and courts have been fairly clear about the fact that you can have cameras and they may point at your neighbor's yard as part of covering your yard, and there's nothing your neighbor can do about it.
Yeah.
Except for come and ask you to move your camera so it doesn't. So unless the lawyer wants to double check, I'm just saying, there's not a lot they can do. So I mean, from the standpoint of I think everybody would be in favor of that, particularly if it means making things more secure.
Yeah, and it helps with the investigation of the cops too.
Yeah.
And like I said,
Have you thought, just because, it sounds like you're having a problem with the Ford building.
Yeah.
Have you thought about putting a cheap alarm system in there? I mean, you can get an alarm system for like $30 a month, $40 a month.
Yeah, we are gonna be looking at that. The biggest problem we've had, cause I've even thought about doing cameras just on the Ford building as additional, is mainly just because there's gonna be construction happening in there. I don't really want the DDA to spend a bunch of money to put a bunch of stuff in and just to have it rip back out.
If you deal with motion sensors,
Yeah,
then when they stop the construction and turn it back on at the end of the day, there shouldn't be any motion.
yeah, the problem is more of the wiring. I mean,
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
a lot of motion sensors now, they are wireless.
yeah, but then we have a battery issue there too. Yeah.
Okay, but
I deal with a lot of different.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, batteries are cheap.
Yeah,
depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is a bunch of stuff, I mean, we're hoping that, you know, I was kinda hoping that the Ford building would be in the process of construction by now.
Or finished 6 months ago.
Yeah, I would like that, I mean, I feel like I spend more time on phone calls to contractors than it would have been for me to just manage the project and go over there and check on their progress and be like, oh, you guys are doing a good job, or, you know, this needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm just saying, once you get it finished,
yeah,
there's gonna be more need for the cameras than there is
oh,
right now.
there's absolutely gonna be.
I mean, once you have a
on that.
community center that is there and it's finished, there's gonna be, if you have break-in problems and that kind of stuff, they'll
Yeah.
be at a higher rate in a finished building than they will be in an abandoned building.
Yeah, we are definitely gonna have, there's gonna be cameras on that building, inside the building as well, because with it being rented out, we have to mitigate liability.
Yep.
So if there is, again, a situation where something happens, where someone gets hurt or whatever, we have to have the ability to be like, you know, mitigate it. I mean, if it's the fault of something of the DDA or the village, it's that, or if it's not, then you have to have that.
No, I understand that, I was just trying to make sure that, you know.
No, yeah, we definitely are gonna be doing probably a handful of stuff, in the real soon of that, but, yeah.
Good discussion. Anything else for applicant reports? Not, we'll move on to new business. So first item, the open seat candidate introduction. So as a lot of people are aware, we have an open seat here on the council. I spoke to a number of interested individuals and invited them here this evening to introduce themselves, ask questions, and in turn, council ask any questions they may have for the candidates. So at this point, I'll open that up to our candidates.
Who wants to talk first? I mean,
Yeah, so I know, Don, you're interested. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name before the meeting if I spoke.
You and,
Mike, so, whichever one of you would like to speak.
go ahead, sir.
oh, well, I'm looking to help contribute to the community. I mean, I have a plethora of experience in many, many areas, because I've been involved in manufacturing and that kind of stuff for over 50 years. Done everything. Josh, you have my sympathy on a building remodel, because you ever try to rebuild a factory, it's another, I've had as many as 181 people working for me. I've handled projects up to 25 million bucks, so I'm getting older in my age. I'm working for a small company, but I always like to keep busy, because if I don't, my wife will shoot me. So I think there's things that I can do to contribute to the village. I mean, one of the things that I have a curiosity about, because I haven't seen one, is, I discussed it with him, is having an open session where we have the villagers come in and we say, what do you want the village to be? I mean, any organization, if you don't have a plan going forward, you just can't maintain the same level. You're either gonna go one way or you're gonna go the other. And we should be soliciting feedback from the residents to say, here's what I'd like. Do we wanna be a bedroom community supporting, you know, with light industry and that kind of stuff? Or do we want to grow? I mean, I've seen, you know, a lot change. I mean, I was born in East Lansing, so I lived in Minnesota, I've lived in different places, so but how much it's changed. And I can remember when there was no Meridian Mall and the Myers wasn't there and that kind of stuff, and Okemos Road was a dirt road. So a lot of it, what happens is gonna be, you know, for us, or for you to work as the village council, is to get a direction and a plan and say, here's where we wanna be in 5 years, here's where we wanna be in 10 years, this is what we want to do, and try to make some of that happen. I mean, I don't know whether you get the input from the villagers or not, or whether it's.
So it's funny you bring that up, because one of our agenda items this evening is to update our master plan, which we're required to do every 10 years to be development ready community, like Jessica mentioned. And part of that, McKenna and Associates will run that program, and they will be polling the community on just those aspects.
Because, you know, one of the things when I was here last meeting, we talked about the water improvement and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that crossed my mind, you're looking at something that goes into 20 years in the future. is the water supply 20 years in the future gonna be, that we have today, which we were talking about fixing, 20 years from now, is it gonna be adequate for the village?
Right.
You know, that's gotta be looked at in the plan too. And one of the things that I also know from someone else's past experiences, does the village want to incorporate so you get more of the tax dollars that are available from other organizations? Because villages don't get as much as an incorporated city. You know, steps like that, are they things that you want to consider? And, you know, there's bad things that go with that and there's good things that go with that. So those are the types of things I don't know. And, you know, I can help with those things, but that's all up to whether you want me to help.
That's all fair. I know when I spoke to you previously, I asked, but I'll ask it again, is do you see any issues, scheduling wise, making our meetings? That's something you can
I'm here.
commit to?
I mean, I put it on my calendar so I can be here unless if there's something that's gonna happen, I will let you know.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I have a Zoom license and I have a Microsoft Teams meeting. I could set it up and you could do your, invite anybody in, but it's just, I'm just saying, no, it's every 2 weeks. Mondays are always preferable to me because that gives me the rest of the week, but Tuesdays don't bother me either. I just plan my longer trips for the weeks in between.
Sure. So, anybody from the council have any questions?
Have you ever sat on council before?
Nope. Nope, but I've handled a $24 million project for General Motors.
How long have you lived in Webberville?
About 17, 18 years now. I never thought about joining the village council. It was just one of those things and I have some interest. I mean, I'm 71 years old, so you know, I can only do this for so long. So I'm not making it a retirement thing. It's just that I have the experience. I'm willing to chip in however I may.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there's any other questions for Don, we'll give the floor to Mike.
Mike McEwen, I was born and raised here. My dad was mayor here back in the 60s for a period of time. My mom served on the council for quite a few years in the 80s here. She still lives here in town. I live in town. I've lived at the same address here for 34 years now. That's not counting the 11 I was here before when I was a kid, before we moved out for a little bit of time. So, been in commercial construction for 27 years. I work for a general contractor. I run multi-million-dollar jobs. We do a lot of work at MSU campus. I mean, pretty much in the 11 years I've been with this company, I've only been away from campus for a total of a year at different projects. I just got an interest in the village. I've always liked the village here. I like the people. Just hopefully we can do something about holding people accountable in the village, whether it be employees, whether it be the villagers, I mean, there's stuff laying all around this town that needs to be addressed, and it's on multiple levels. And a lot of it's gonna take an ordinance enforcement person, obviously, so that needs to be addressed, but I'm just hoping to see the place grow and do good for its people, and people wanna come here and see the place and find stuff here to do and be a part of it, whatever little bit that can be. I can make meetings. I'm generally out of work every day at 3:30. I live 3 blocks away from here, so getting here is not an issue. Providing a health issue of some sort or what have you, but no, that's not an issue.
Perfect. Well, you answered one of my questions with scheduling. Does anybody from the council have any other questions for Mike?
I was writing everything down he said, so I'm good.
Okay, well, if not, I definitely appreciate both of you gentlemen showing interest and taking the time tonight. It's not on our agenda to vote, but as we discussed, I would encourage you both to come to our next meeting, sit through the meetings, make sure it's a good fit for you, something that you'd be comfortable and want to participate in, and hopefully first meeting in January, February, we're in January. council will be ready to make a decision. So, thank you both.
Fair enough.
Randy, I don't suppose we can steal you from the DDA.
She doesn't live here.
I don't live in town.
Fair.
Josh, got a spare apartment for her to rent?
Okay, so we'll move on to, second item under new business, the MAMC Basic Institute, and that's Jessica, I believe.
Yeah, the, Michigan Association of Municipal, it's a mouthful. Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks, it's the final year, and that'd be a certified clerk. And then the next item is the MMTA, Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association, and I'd be a certified treasurer. And did the last 2 years, so this is the last year to do it. So we're super excited. I already got the, it's been a long time coming, a lot of work.
Okay, so, any questions on those courses that Jessica's interested in?
So each one, just, you go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Thursday. The whole
I
week,
leave
right?
Sunday, I'll be back, well, I'll be back here, but I'll be back Friday.
Okay,
Yeah, both of them are like that, the
Okay.
whole week.
so you're gone the whole week.
Mhm. But the last 2 years, I do make time to do payroll, so employees aren't ticked off. And then if they have any questions, like last year Tammy messaged me and I stepped out real quick, took care of it, and I went back in. So it's not like I'm not reachable.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just reading something.
Oh, gotcha.
You're gone the whole week?
Yeah.
So for the MAMC, I see there's obviously a hotel involved. Are they providing any meals?
There are meals involved. Usually they provide breakfast,
Okay.
lunch Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, dinner Sunday and Thursday. But sometimes, like usually like the last 2 years, I'll go to the store just to kind of try to keep it cheap.
Sure.
I'm supposed to eat better anyway, so.
Okay, so we'll do these one at a time. I recommend that we approve Jessica to attend the MAMC Basic Institute on March 16th through the 21st, with room and board not to exceed $543.90, plus mileage and per diem as our guidelines permit.
The class is 775.
Oh, and the class of 775. Thank you for catching
So
that.
I'm like,
Second.
Roll call?
Schumelberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
No.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, so next is the MMTA, separate one. This is also a week long, looks like. So, similar deal there. Any questions on the MMTA Basic Institute with Jessica? Seeing none. So, recommend that we approve Jessica to attend the final year Basic Institute of the MMTA from April 27th to May 2nd for $599 with room for $543.90, including mileage and meal allowances when not provided.
So moved. Second.
Seconded by Sandra. Roll call.
Schumelberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
No.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay. Item number 4 is the EOA Winter Core Summit. What's this one about?
That is for you guys, actually. I don't, Sandra, you haven't done that last class yet, right?
The next class is, the 23rd,
Okay.
so I
So
haven't.
you
been
would
yet.
be able to do this one too, so it's whichever one of you guys wanna go. It's, well, actually, it's a virtual thing. The Elected Officials Academy Winter Core Summit.
I think that's the one thing you said you were just gonna get my notes,
Yep.
I'm not sure if you could go or not.
Well, and save cost.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's a Friday and a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Isn't this the one that I won?
yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. At our last training, Deborah won a free attendance in a drawing for this. So Sandra, you're not gonna go to this?
I can't because it's 2 days,
Gotcha.
out of work, which is hard for me.
So I guess, Lana. I recommend that we approve Lana Stanfield to attend the elected official winter core summit virtual, not to exceed $135 per person.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call?
Schoenberg,
yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, item number 5. This is the resolution 2025-01, the master plan approval for McKenna. So late last year, Chris Corey reached out to me and reminded myself that 10 years has passed since our last master approval process. This is something that we have to do every 10 years in order to maintain our status as a ready-to-development community. I think I got that somewhat right. As well as a Parks and Rec, so that way we would be eligible for any potential grant funding in the future. So being that we didn't budget for this current fiscal year, that this will cost $16,000, we will budget for it next year, and the resolution tonight, should we approve it, is to give McKenna and Associates basically the go-ahead to start prep work, but they will not do any work or charge or give us any billing until April 1st on our new fiscal year. So are there any questions about the master plan update? Bearing in mind I'm not an expert.
I'm a little confused about the Parks and Recreation plan.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have Parks and Recreation.
So we technically do, we do have green space, including all of the undeveloped areas of the business park that, again, it would enable us to apply for grants and funding should the DDA or the village want to do any projects that would qualify for that.
Same with the small playground over here on
Yep.
Maple.
The small playground, our green space out by the gazebo, so we are somewhat limited in our areas to do that. I know Chris also mentioned the possibility of, even though it's outside of village limits, if there's something that we could possibly do with Simmons Park as well, as a joint project, so a little difficult to come up with an exhaustive list of things that may not even exist yet in terms of programs, but this would at least ensure for the next 10 years that we're eligible should we come up with a project.
Be nice if we could do some of that little park over
Oh, yeah.
there, because it hasn't been done anything in quite a while.
We discussed it earlier this year about looking for possible grants. I did have a homeowner ask about that. I did apply, but we weren't a large enough project to get any funding. Still working on it, just kind of in the background, and spending money or anything on it.
Right.
So, like I said, the possibility's there, this could help
Yeah,
us.
just to help,
So,
and it'd be an asset to the community,
No.
especially for the houses back there.
Without a doubt. So unless there are any other questions, I would recommend that we approve resolution 2025-01 to update the village master plan per McKenna Associates proposal not to exceed $16,000 with work beginning April 1st.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Schoenberg,
yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item, number 7, the new water tank on the Vector truck. I'll let Ryan speak on this one.
Sorry, Pat,
Oh,
skipping 6.
oh, I'm sorry, you're right, I skipped a pen. We're on to number 6, resolution 2025-02, clothing allowance for office employees and village council. So the office employees, reached out to me, saying that they would like to have, some work attire with embroidered, Webberville logo. I think that would be very presentable, to the public. I know last year, maybe the year prior, this is something that we did, as an extended to village council as well, for all the events that we attend. I think is also a good idea. It helps, all of us be a little bit more recognizable to the public and a little bit more available. So should we adopt this resolution, would provide a clothing allowance, not to exceed $100. If there's any overage, that employee or council member would be responsible for that overage, on their own dime. All receipts for purchases must be submitted to the village office for verification. This is something that we would, review annually.
I do have a question on that.
Yes, sir.
In the Department of Public Works, we have our $700 clothing allowance.
Mm-hmm.
In that clothing allowance, we are not required to purchase clothes that have our logo on it, such as this shirt here, stuff like this. So would this $100 be extended to us as well, as long as it goes towards the purchase of embroidered, like a nice Carhartt coat that has, you know, our logo on it? So when we're at events or out in public, you know, we have our logo on it? Or is this just gonna be to the council and to the office staff? I just wanna make sure the wording on it's clear.
Yeah, the way that it's written, says for each municipal employee, so that would be covering
Okay.
you and your guys
So
as
this-
well.
So if I'm reading and hearing correctly, the $100 is towards clothing that have, like what you're wearing there, something similar, yours.
Yeah.
I did get a sweatshirt the last time we did it.
Yep.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure that,
Yeah, a little bit
That
different
way I can
attire
answer.
use case.
that way I can answer questions when my guys ask, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know, was it Sanmar or what service we used last time, but,
It's Fowlerville.
Yeah, it's in
yeah, it's in Fowlerville, so we'll coordinate with Jessica on trying to get a little bit better of a deal, group buy, you know, multiple items, that type of thing.
Sports and apparel.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's right.
They have a book on a nice catalog too.
Any other questions on this resolution? Seeing none, so recommend that we adopt resolution 2025-02, clothing allowance for municipal employees and council.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Schoenberg.
Yeah.
Stanfield.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, now on to number 7. The water tank for factory truck. Take it away, Ryan.
So on our back truck, that's our big sewer truck that we use not only to clean our sewers, but also to hydro excavate on water main breaks, any other hole that we have to dig. It's an old truck. It was purchased used by the village. Don't ask me what year, I'm not exactly sure. But it holds like 1,500 gallons of water. That's what we use, one, to clean the sewers or to run our digging high pressure wands. Also cools the hydraulic system on the truck. The bottom tank has been leaking for years. I don't know if it was a bad aluminum job, I don't know if it was an electrolysis situation. I've since installed a battery disconnect on the truck because it was draining the batteries. So I know I don't have any electrolysis going into the frame of that truck anymore, but the tank is shot. If you look back over the last 2 years, I'll bet you we've spent probably $200 on JB Weld and different products trying to seal the holes. Showed Sam 2 weeks ago at our morning meeting that we hold on Mondays. It's bad. It does not hold water anymore. Pretty much renders the truck useless. So earlier this year, Brad Hitchcock and I were talking about it. He deals with tanks. So I checked with some other companies that manufacture custom tanks. They weren't gonna touch it, especially for anywhere near this price, because they don't have the CAD drawings for the robotic cutting and welding of these tanks, because they're custom made for each tank, each truck. So this quote is from the dealership that sells the truck over in Northville. I checked with them, they sent me a sheet that I have to take custom measurements of all the outlets on this tank, so it'll bolt up to the truck. We're gonna install it ourselves, it's really not all that difficult. So I would go to Northville, pick the tank up with our trailer, bring it back here because I don't wanna pay freight on it. Then we could use the truck. But unfortunately, out of the 5 tanks that are on this, for some reason, this is the only one that has done this. I don't know why, can't answer it, but, we've tried, and there is no, we can't put a bladder inside of it because there's different outlets that go to the hydraulic pump, stuff like that. So this is the only, answer. As you guys can see on the quote, I've been sitting on this since, September, because I was looking for other solutions to this problem. But there are none, so I showed it to Sam, here we are. So,
I will attest to what Ryan is saying. I mean, it's really not a far cry to say that that tank is more patched than tank.
it's more JB Weld and
It's got more
Seal.
spots than a Dalmatian.
Yeah, we've tried everything. I've talked to different manufacturers on ways of trying to patch this thing, and there is nothing. Poke your hole through it, poke your finger, and all of a sudden there's a hole in it. So, here we are. So that's the presentation on the tank for the back truck.
Well, any questions for Ryan on this proposed tank? If not, I would recommend to the council that we approve the new water tank for the Vector truck through JDC quote number 110188, not to exceed $7,021.72.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Schoenberg,
yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, on to item number 8, the Michigan Rural Water Conference, scheduled for March 18th through the 21st.
I see Jessica didn't put my email in here with the numbers that I sent you, but, hey, it happens. So, Michigan Rural Water, is an organization, as we know. Joe came, did our rate study. We lean on them heavily for a lot of different, compliance issues, not only on the drinking water, but also on the wastewater side. So every year they hold a conference. This year it's back at the Grand Traverse Resort. Next year it'll be in Mount Pleasant. They alternate between the two. It's 3 full days of classroom work. First day's a half day, then you have 2 full days, and the last day is another half day. You're sitting in class from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, obtaining, because I would be the only one going since I'm the licensed operator. I'll leave that conference with my full assortment of CECs, my continuing education credits, to renew all my licenses. If I were to take these classes separately, you're looking at about $200 for 1 credit hour. So up here I would leave with, I think, just shy of 5 full credit hours. The total price, since I said she forgot to put it in there, the total price including my hotel and my registration fee for the full conference is $974.02. They supply all meals, vendors for like dinner time. They always have hospitality suites where they feed you. Sometimes it's a liquid diet, but that's just, nature of the beast. So we have breakfast and lunch included. I would plan on just taking the city truck, so I don't have to include mileage or anything like that, since we already paid for the truck. Just like Jessica stated, my phone would always be on, so my guys would have full contact with me, as would anybody in the village. So that is in March. I would leave the village, I do believe it's Monday, then I would return that Friday. So it's a very valuable experience. The classes, I'm sorry, I would leave Tuesday and I'd be back Friday. The information and knowledge that's gained, every community in Michigan sends somebody to this conference. Fowlerville sends, I think, 2 of their employees. Williamston sends their people. It's networking, seeing what other communities are doing. So it is a very valuable conference to attend. So
So it's 4 days or
Yeah.
3?
it's technically 4. I'll be gone 3 nights, so.
So with him taking in so much information, can we put something in for the meals he's not going to get? Because
They
if it's
include-
breakfast and lunch,
They include everything.
but then you said
The
breakfast and
vendors
lunch.
feed us dinner.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure that you're burning.
No, because there's vendors there and they supply dinner.
Okay.
We don't leave there hungry.
And at the very least, we do have a policy for meals on the road for
Yeah.
travel.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Do you think it would make more sense to leave the village truck here since having it so far away for so many days?
I can do that as well. I'm not opposed to that. So, yeah, that does not bother me one bit.
Yeah, I know having a bigger crew, you know, we only have 2 trucks, you know, we'll have 3 pickups. And 3 guys here.
Yeah. No, I can drive, that's just fine.
Okay.
You know, so I'm not worried about that. So yeah, that's everything there. 974.02 is the total. That's the hotel and my registration fee.
Any other questions for Ryan on that?
So plus mileage.
Can I add something? Is this an annual thing that happens?
Annual.
So next year, because I know you're trying to get another one of your employees licensed. It was discussed in the last council meeting.
Yep.
So next year you should be planning for 2?
In a small community
I'm
like
just
this,
looking, I don't care what the cost is, because it doesn't bother me for $900 to get you what you need
Yeah,
is,
small community like this, that's, you know, we would probably view that as an as-needed basis.
okay, but I'm just looking at the fact, if he's gonna need it, it should be something we should look
Yep.
at for both of
Or
you.
possibly alternate?
Alternate
Alternate
each of
years
us.
or something like that to get
Yep.
it done, so
Yep.
it's just,
So that's something that we'll definitely look at. But yes, this is a yearly conference.
okay, that's,
So,
was my only question. So
Yeah.
if it's like every 2 years, and I know he's trying to get licensed next year, and he's gonna need this stuff, do we need to send him now?
Right. No, it's a good point, good question. So, anybody wanna make a motion?
Go ahead.
I will make a motion to approve Ryan to attend the Michigan Rural Water Conference on March 18th to 21st at the Grand Traverse Resort in Traverse City, not to exceed $974.02, which include the classes, the hotel, and the registration fees, and to also pay mileage.
You need a motion there? Second,
Roll call?
Schoenborn,
Yes.
Stanfield,
yes.
Walter,
Yeah.
Schulte.
Yes. All right, rounding out things here, item number 9, cameras. I know, Lana had requested this be added, she had Josh, touch on this quote. We spoke about this during advocate report, so I'll hand it over to you, Lana, if there's anything else you want to say, or if there's any questions.
I don't really have anything else to say, I just really think it's important to our village that we, one, are keeping safe everyone, and that, you know, we are preventing any further break-ins. I think that's very important, and that we're also keeping not only the village residents safe, but also the employees safe.
I do have a question for you. Will the lobby camera and front counter camera have audio, or is it just video only?
Yes, there would be audio as well. And the front camera would only, because of how it's sitting, that actually kind of works out well. How it would be positioned would be just if there's someone at the counter.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's not gonna, I mean, Jessica and Tammy's day to day, then it's not gonna sit there and listen to that. It's only if there's someone actually there, it will, start recording it.
Pick up. Okay.
Yeah.
Just mainly for that customer service,
Yeah.
you know, coverage.
Yeah, it's one of the examples I've been giving a lot of people over the last few years. So we had an issue at, one of the restaurants we cover, that one of, a table of a group of people said that they refused to pay because their, server was being, racist, basically, was what was happening. And as a younger kid, he was upset by the interaction. We were asked to pull the film for them so they could see what went on. And it ended up being the exact opposite, was this group table was being very bad. You know, they were drinking, but it was still, in that instance, it saved the employee's job.
Yep.
Because it becomes a he said, she said thing, and it's good to just have the film for the thing. I mean, a recent issue that the village had, you know, with that one particular, resident, they could have pulled the film and had it, and then just sent it off to the, you know, to the, whoever asks about it and say, here was the interaction, everything was perfect, you know, above board.
Now, it'll catch them up if somebody comes in up here too, correct?
Yeah,
And that'll be good too, because if we have a medical emergency up here,
yeah,
I would hate for somebody to possibly trip and fall or have a heart attack, and if somebody doesn't come in and nobody sees them.
yeah,
But
'cause
at least
proposed-
for this, they will.
the proposed monitor will be, there's not really necessarily a reason for the monitor to show the counter per se.
Correct.
But I would assume that they would, you know, and that's something Jessica can make a decision on. I would assume obviously the lobby and then probably the back alley area would be on display so that they know, and then even at the end of the night or a day or whatever, if they need to, you know, leave or come, at least there's also film back there too, just to make them feel safer. Cause then they can look at it before they leave and be like, oh, who's, you know, I don't know if you guys want to park in the back, but if you did, you'd be like, hey, who's back there? Why is there someone back there right now?
Good discussion. Lon, you wanna make the motion?
Have a wording in front of me. I would like to make a motion for Z Solutions to install the cameras and all the equipment needed, not to exceed the amount of $2,656.90.
Second.
Second, roll call?
Yes, sir. Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
No.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to the end of our new business. Just as a reminder, our next scheduled council meeting will be for Monday, January 27th, here in the council hall at 6 p.m. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn at 7:08 PM.
Second.
Second by Rana, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you for coming.